Stars shimmered like distant watchlights as a galactic scout vessel of erection descended through Earth's upper atmosphere. Its obsidian hull shimmered with refractive shielding, cloaking its entry from all but the most advanced detection systems, which Earth, as far as the crew believed, did not possess. Commander Xyrix stood tall within the observation deck, arms crossed, a half-smirk playing on his lips as blue data glyphs scrolled over the translucent interface before him. "This is what they call a planet worth consideration?" he mused aloud, his tone soaked in disdain. "Primitive electromagnetic waves, combustion engines, kinetic projectile weapons. It's a museum, not a world." Lieutenant Valcor chuckled behind him, long fingers dancing over a console. "They still rely on petroleum. Their military uniforms have visible stitching. It's like watching insects try to build a nest with pebbles." Xyrix turned from the viewport, eyes glowing faintly beneath the arch of his neural implants. "Let's get this over with. Send a message to their leaders. Tell them we've arrived to assess their readiness for Galactic Union integration, though we both know this is merely theater." Down below, the Earth's response came in the form of a hastily arranged meeting at a joint military base in the Rocky Mountains. Representatives from Earth's leading nations had pooled resources for this day, hoping to leave a strong impression. Though no one truly knew what the scouts wanted or what they might do, the Virection landed with imperceptible grace, its ramp descending with a hiss. Dust swirled in the wake of its quiet engines. Commander Xyrix and his retinue stepped onto Earth's soil with regal indifference, their armor etched with glowing filaments, their boots untouched by the dirt beneath. A line of Earth officials awaited them. Among them stood Captain Henry Cole, lean, weathered, sharp-eyed. His uniform bore the insignia of a joint Earth Defense Initiative, its fabric slightly faded from use. Not ceremony. "Welcome to Earth," Cole said, offering a handshake. Xyrix ignored the gesture, choosing instead to glance around as if the planet itself were an underwhelming relic. "Your atmosphere is less toxic than projected. A pleasant surprise." Cole raised an eyebrow but let the insult pass. "You've come to evaluate our defense capabilities?" "Evaluate?" Xyrix echoed with amusement. "Observe, mostly. Humor ourselves. The Galactic Union mandates these assessments before full contact. Frankly, I suspect this planet still hasn't discovered fusion drives." Behind Xyrix, Valcor had begun scanning nearby structures with a compact prism drone. Unshielded bunkers, projectile-based artillery, gas-operated rifles. This would be charming if it weren't so sad. Cole smiled, but the expression didn't reach his eyes. "We manage, though I'd advise you not to judge everything by specs on the screen." Xyrix gestured lazily toward a hovering console. A display of Earth's known military hardware flickered into view. Tanks, aircraft carriers, fighter jets, missile silos. He gestured as if brushing away dust. None of this would last seconds in a real conflict. Energy barriers alone would render your munitions obsolete. "We're not interested in war," Cole said carefully. "No one ever is. Until they are," Xyrix replied. Valcor chuckled. "Perhaps a demonstration? Let us see your best. Choose any field, any tactic. We will bring a modest scouting team. No orbital support. No augmentation. Just us. Let your forces attempt to engage." Cole studied them a moment. "And what would this demonstration prove?" Xyrix grinned. "Entertainment, mostly, and perhaps the smallest chance of surprise. Though I doubt it." There was a pause, brief but dense. Then Cole turned to one of his aides and murmured a few clipped instructions. When he faced Xyrix again, his expression was unreadable. "Very well. You'll have your demonstration." Valcor's interface blinked. "Location received. Mountainous terrain? That favors ambushes and stealth tactics." "Quaint. Consider it a gift," Cole replied. Xyrix narrowed his gaze. "I assume you'll be sending one of your elite units. Or perhaps a tank column. A drone swarm." Cole's voice remained steady. "No units. Just one operative." Laughter erupted behind Xyrix. Valcor turned, genuinely amused. "One? You're to send one soldier against us." "Yes." "Are they even augmented?" "No." The laughter continued until Xyrix silenced it with a gesture. You mock us, Captain. I don't have to, Cole replied quietly. You're doing it yourselves. Zyrex stepped closer, towering over the human officer. Then we accept your game. But know this, when your operative fails, and they will, your place in the Union will be reduced to what it is now. A footnote, a curiosity. Cole didn't blink. We'll see. The aliens departed in silence, their vessel rising and veering northward to the simulation site. Cole watched until the last shimmer of its afterburner disappeared behind a ridge. Only then did he exhale, long and slow. Beside him, his aide whispered, "We're really sending him?" Cole nodded. "He's already en route." The aide hesitated. "Do they know who he is?" "No," Cole said almost to himself. And by the time they figured out, it'll be too late. Far above, within the Virection, Zyrex reclined in his command chair, eyes glowing with confidence. "One man," he muttered. "Let's see how long their relic lasts." Outside the viewport, the sky darkened over the rocky horizon, quiet, cold, and waiting. The wind whispered through pine and stone as the simulation zone came alive with soft glows and alien hums. Atop a rocky outcrop, a triad of galactic scouts deployed shimmering sensor orbs into the dusk, each hovering silently before shooting off to map the terrain. Their energy signatures wove a net of digital awareness through the valley. To them, it was a formality, a brief dance before claiming yet another demonstration of superiority. Commander Zyrex stood near the deployment craft, arms folded behind his back. His armor adjusted minutely to the dropping temperature, recalibrating its internal climate in microseconds. Field integrity? Full coverage achieved, Valcor confirmed, watching glyphs scroll down his wrist-mounted console. Sensors are live, threat assessment grid mapped. No anomalies, no active tech within 5 kilometers. They've given us a blank slate. Zyrex snorted. As expected, a trap without teeth. Or perhaps they simply don't understand what teeth are, Valcor offered, smiling. A dozen galactic operatives fanned out across the ridgeline, gleaming in precision armor that adapted to light and movement. Each carried a pulse rifle with integrated AI targeting. Their movements were crisp, methodical, unhurried. This was not war. It was theater. Valcor tapped his console. "I'll release 2 drones for Overwatch. Let's make this efficient." Above, a pair of spherical units shot into the sky, their cameras rotating, infrared scanning downward in broad sweeps. Everything below registered still: trees, cliffs, rock faces, snow patches. Earth's silence felt almost deliberate. Zyrex narrowed his gaze. No defense platforms. No power fluctuations. No comm traffic. We're their champion. Maybe they sent a ghost, Valcor mused. Moments later, one of the drones went offline. No sound. No warning. Just a blink on the screen. Then dead. Zyrex leaned in. "What happened?" "Could be terrain interference," Valcor said quickly, adjusting parameters. "Some dense magnetic mineral." A second drone vanished. This time, the operatives paused. No one spoke. No alarms blared. No energy surges triggered their shields. It was like both machines had simply ceased. Zyrex's expression tightened. "You said full coverage." "I did. It was full. Now it's incomplete." Valcor's fingers moved faster. Still no signal pings. No heat trails. Not even a metallic trace. Something took them out. Possibly. Or a sharp, staccato crack echoed through the valley. One of the operatives jerked backward and fell, armor humming in confusion. His chest plate bore a clean hole, centered and precise. A second later, the suit systems began to panic, its diagnostics spiraling as if unsure what just happened. Another shot rang out. Another operative collapsed. "Sniper," Valcor hissed. Zyrex spun toward the ridge. Where? No trajectory trace. Projectile was subsonic. Too fast, too small. Possibly lead-based. His disbelief was palpable. "Lead." Zyrex spat the word like a curse. "They're using metal?" Before Valcor could respond, a third scout fell. This time, it was a headshot. The kinetic impact shattered the protective visor. A second later, The corpse twitched once, then stilled. Shields didn't trigger. A soldier said from behind a nearby boulder, ducking low. Zyrex barked. Fall back to hard cover. Recalibrate for analog signatures. Filter out noise. Find the shooter. The operatives scrambled, suddenly far less confident. Their graceful maneuvering became frantic. Their eyes scanned for shimmer, for pulse, for motion, but found none. Their sensors fed them nothing useful. The landscape was static, yet deadly. Valkor's console flared red. We've been jammed. Impossible. That would require localized EM flooding. Our systems are quantum hardened. It's not quantum interference. Valkor's voice trembled. It's analog, low frequency, like static. They're using our precision against us. Zyrex clenches fists. Where's the shooter? I don't know. Another operative's head snapped sideways with a muted pop, armor lights dimming instantly. They're hunting us like animals. One of the scouts murmured. This is a culling. Zyrex's jaw tightened. We are not prey. Tell that to Sarn and Drell. They're not breathing. They regroup beneath a natural overhang, scanning every rise and shadow, every flicker of branch or stone. But nothing moved. The forest, draped in mist, remained still. It felt like the world itself was holding its breath. Zyrex activated his comms. This is Commander Zyrex. We are under engagement by a hidden operative, requesting temporary extraction. Nothing. No signal bounce. Just silence. Valkor shook his head. Jam on galactic frequencies, too. There's a blackout field here. We control this region. How can it be blacked out? He's using primitive tech. Analog scramblers. Passive jamming. Earth doesn't care about breaking our tech. They just sidestep it. I want that shooter found. Burn the forest if we have to. And if we can't find him? Zyrex stared into trees, eyes scanning for a shape that never appeared. Then we survived long enough to learn his name. Somewhere above them, on a ridge shaped by wind and time, a man lay prone beneath a veil of snow-dusted burlap and mud. He adjusted the scope of a long, worn rifle that bore no glowing lights, no humming circuits, just steel, glass, and purpose. Through his lens, he watched the aliens squirm. He noted their formation, their panic, their reliance on tech. He exhaled slowly, finger resting lightly on the trigger. One breath, one shot. He whispered to himself, 3 down, 9 to go. The forest no longer resembled a battleground. It had become a graveyard of certainty. Beneath the cold canopy of conifers, the once confident galactic scouts were now reduced to crouching silhouettes, hiding behind trees, rocks, and fallen logs as if they were the hunted species on an alien world. The irony stung almost as much as the bullets. Valkor's armor flickered, struggling to maintain its adaptive camouflage. His hands trembled as he attempted to recalibrate the sensory net, but the readings were incomprehensible. No energy bursts, no movement trails, no digital footprint. The enemy, this human, did not exist in any spectrum they could read. I've rerouted every system, he muttered under his breath, wiping condensation from his visor. Every sensor is operational. The net is intact. He's not on it. He's not using tech. Zyrex growled nearby, his face dark with frustration. He's using the world. Another shot cracked through the air. One of the scouts ducked too late. His arm was severed at the bicep, the armor barely registering the impact before collapsing the integrity field. He screamed once before scrambling back, dragging himself behind a fallen tree. Blood pooled, steaming against the frost. Zyrex turned his gaze skyward, scanning the ridges. That was a deflection shot, off the rock face. He's calculating ricochets. Valkor stared at him, speechless. That's impossible. You'd need wind data, distance, humidity. He doesn't need sensors. He's been trained to feel it. Zyrex looked down at the wounded scout, who was now shivering, pale. He activated a field stabilizer and tossed it without emotion. Keep him alive. If we make it out, I want witnesses. We're not making it out unless we find him, Valkor said, nearly choking on the words. Another shot echoed. This one struck a sensor orb midair. It burst in a puff of shattered glass and shorted circuitry. "He's taunting us," Xyrix said. "No," came a quiet voice from one of the younger scouts, pressed low behind a cluster of snow-dusted boulders. "He's hurting us." Xyrix's eyes narrowed. The young scout pointed to their movement over the last 10 minutes, each fallen comrade, each repositioning. Together, the path curved gently, subtly, toward a narrow gulch bordered by unstable cliffs. Valcor expanded the map, eyes widening. "It's a kill zone." "I need eyes on high ground," Xyrix ordered. "Two-man climb. Go silent, manual only. No comms. Move now." 2 scouts obeyed, slipping away without a word. The others held position. The forest seemed to grow quieter still, as if listening. Minutes passed, then a distant pop, not a rifle shot, but something duller, a thump, followed by a faint metallic clatter. Only one of the 2 scouts returned. He didn't speak as he rejoined the group, breath shallow, eyes unfocused. His partner was gone. No scream, no alert, just removed. Valcor knelt beside him. "What did you see?" The scout blinked, voice barely audible. "Nothing." I blinked, and he wasn't there anymore. Xyrix inhaled slowly, then crouched beside a tree and pressed his fingers to the soil. "He's more than a soldier. He's a predator. This terrain isn't working against him. It's his ally. We're the intruders." Valcor finally said what none dared. "We underestimated the species." "No," Xyrix corrected. "We underestimated the individual." The wind shifted, bringing with it a sound too faint for the digital ears of their suits. But Xyrix heard it. A breath, the gentlest footfall. Not near, but not far. The hunter was repositioning, already calculating his next strike. "I need eyes downscope," Xyrix said. "Start checking reflections. Natural optics. Water, glass, metal. He's watching." Valcor scanners pinged the area, switching to analog fallback modes. The visuals were grainy, but brief shimmer appeared. Only a flicker, near the edge of a rock ledge above them. "There," Valcor whispered. "Top ridge. Northwest face." Before Xyrix could order the shot, the shimmer was gone. A second later, the lead scout to their right dropped without sound, his helmet rolling away, face untouched. The bullet had entered from below the jaw, beneath the armor plate. A perfect kill shot. Xyrix didn't flinch. "He's not above us anymore." Valcor looked up sharply. He knew we spotted that decoy. That was a plant. Xyrix stood slowly, not hiding himself now. "Enough. If he wants a hunt, let him know the beast sees him." He raised his voice, projecting into the trees. "You've made your point, human. You can kill us. But what do you want?" No response. Just the wind. Then, faint and untraceable, a voice rolled down the slope, distant but clear. "Just watching you learn." Xyrix's teeth clenched. Valcor stared toward the origin of the voice. That wasn't transmission. That was spoken. No amplification. "He's close," Xyrix said. "Closer than we think." The group tightened their formation, now fully aware that every second in this valley was permission granted for another death. Then a distant engine sound crackled over the ridge. The unmistakable sound of an Earth evac chopper, non-stealth, analog, grinding its way through the wind like a flying tin can. The aliens recognized it with horror. "He knew we'd ask for evac," Valcor said, "and he chose now to let us hear it." "He's done playing," Xyrix muttered. "He's letting us live this time." The group started to move, not speaking. Not out of pride, but respect. The valley had spoken, and in its silence, they had heard the voice of a species they had dismissed too quickly. One sniper, one rifle, and a lesson scorched into their minds like a brand. The evac chopper trembled as it cut through the bitter air, blades whirling with a rattle that felt embarrassingly crude to Xyrix's ears. It was ancient machinery by Galactic standards, loud, slow, and vulnerable. Yet, in that moment, it was salvation. The remaining operatives climbed aboard in silence, their gleaming armor dulled by grime and blood, their expressions hollow with disbelief. Only 5 of the original 12 remained. Xyrix was the last aboard, casting one long glance back toward the mist-shrouded ridgeline. There was no movement, no trace of the human, just the endless, indifferent forest, swaying gently as if it hadn't just watched gods bleed. Inside, the cramped passenger bay reeked of oil, metal, and frost. Valcor sat slumped against the bulkhead, helmet in his lap, eyes glassy. He hadn't spoken since the retreat. Across from him, the wounded scout lay strapped into a stretcher, stabilized but unconscious, murmuring fractured echoes of remembered terror. Xyrix knelt beside him, placing 2 fingers on the soldier's armor plating. "You lived," he said quietly. "That matters." The soldier didn't respond. The pilot's voice crackled to the cabin speakers. "We've cleared the perimeter. You're back in friendly airspace. 10 minutes to drop point." No one acknowledged it. Valcor finally stirred, voice low, hoarse. "He let us go." Xyrix didn't answer. He could have finished us, wiped us out to the last man. But he didn't. That wasn't retreat. It was permission. Xyrix gave a slow nod. He wanted us to leave. That was the lesson. Valcor looked at him, brow furrowed. "Lesson?" Xyrix stared ahead, eyes narrowed. This was never about killing. It was about teaching. A message. Everything, the precision, the restraint, the angles. It wasn't just tactical. It was deliberate, controlled. Valcor leaned back, a bitter edge creeping into his voice. "We came to laugh at their weapons. Their tactics. Their tech. What we found was a man who never needed any of that to beat us." Xyrix's jaw tightened. He didn't beat us. He dismantled us. The words hung in the air like a verdict. The shuttle met the docking station with a jolt. As the doors hissed open, a procession of medical units and security personnel awaited, scanners humming, stretchers gliding across sterile floors. The alien architecture of the Galactic base, sleek, antiseptic, geometrically perfect, now felt artificial, even suffocating, to Xyrix. He stepped out like a man returning from a different world entirely. In the debriefing chamber, high-ranking officials stood in silence. Their robes shimmered with status, their eyes already flicking through mission reports on floating interfaces. Around them, holographic projections flickered. Topographical maps, body cam footage, casualty logs, projected cost analyses. Xyrix stood at the center, helmet tucked under his arm, his expression unreadable. "Commander Xyrix," said Counselor Tren, his voice clipped dismissive. "We expected a report, not a funeral procession." Xyrix said nothing. He tapped a command into his forearm interface, and a pause video feed projected into the air, an image from the final moments of the mission. A still frame. The human sniper, prone on a rocky ledge, body almost invisible beneath layers of camo. Only one eye visible behind the glint of a scope. He didn't look angry. He looked calm, still, entirely in control. "This," Xyrix said quietly, "is what defeated us. One man, one rifle, one mind." Another counselor stepped forward, tall and pale, voice laced with disbelief. "You were ambushed by primitives?" "No," Xyrix replied. "We were educated by one." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "Explain," Tren said. "What are we seeing?" "A lesson," Xyrix said. "This man used no drones, no sensors, no energy weapons. He understood the terrain better than any AI. He read the wind. He used physics, timing, silence. He killed 7 of our operatives without being detected once. And he never missed." Valcor stepped forward. "He didn't just survive. He dominated. Every step of the way. We thought we were hunting him, but we were in a cage, and he was watching us scratch at the walls." "You suggest retreat?" Tren asked, brows arched. "I suggest respect," Xyrix answered. "You can call it primitive. You can call it obsolete. But what you can't call it is weak." There was a pause, long and cold. Then a voice, older, deeper, echoed from the back. Counselor Ravin, ancient and rarely vocal, stepped into view. "I've seen this before. On Rethene V, on Tarsus Red. Species underestimated, cultures dismissed, and always someone learns a hard way." He turned toward Xyrix. "Would you face him again?" Xyrix hesitated, not with the same doctrine. Later, alone in his quarters, Xyrix stared at the holoscreen, paused on that final image of the sniper. His eyes were drawn not to the rifle or the camouflage, but the calm in the man's expression. There had been no joy, no hatred, only precision and purpose. He poured a measure of Terran whiskey, something once gifted from a cultural exchange, a bottle most of his kind found distasteful. But tonight it felt fitting. The liquid glinted amber under the chamber lights, as flawed and earthy as the man who'd handed them their first true defeat on this world. He raised the glass slowly. To the hunter, far away, atop the ridge that had become legend, the man sat alone. The wind tugged at his cloak. His rifle rested across his lap, clean, oiled, reloaded. The forest was quiet again, not with peace, but with patience. He didn't celebrate, didn't boast. He simply watched. He knew what they didn't yet. They would return, and when they did, he'd be ready.